World War II was a time of great loss, not only in life, but also in cultural artifacts. Books and pieces of art were destroyed because they were deemed degenerate. But countless others were stolen and kept as prizes by the Nazis for their invasion of a large portion of Europe. One of these was Shepherdess Bringing in Sheep by Camille Pissarro. Shepherdess Bringing in Sheep currently is shared between Leone Meyer and the Fred Jones Jr. Art Museum at the University of Oklahoma. But how did it go from the hands of the Nazis to a shared custody between a French woman and an American museum? Before beginning to explore this painting's interesting adventure through history, I will share my own personal beliefs about its ownership. I believe that this painting should solely belong to Leone Meyer. She would have inherited it from her father had it not been stolen during the war. But a shared custody agreement between the museum and Leone Meyer might be more beneficial for all of society. The agreement between the two parties means that it will be on display in two different countries so that more people will have the chance to view this piece of art. Adolf Hitler, who was once an aspiring art student, wanted all art in his empire to reflect the strength and power of the Third Reich. He was key in the orchestration of the massive looting of objects of cultural value from Jewish citizens. What he deemed degenerate was either destroyed or put on display in museums that did not provide the art the ability to be appreciated. They had poor lighting, vandalism on the walls, and very little spacing between paintings. What he deemed acceptable was kept by him or other high-ranking Nazi officers. Hitler had plans to display this art in his Führer Museum in his hometown of Linz, Austria. He wanted to build a stronger Germany, and art was a large part of his ideal scenario. Now back to the story of the painting. Leone Meyer's father, Raoul Meyer, owned the painting before the war and had placed it along with the rest of his art collection into a French bank where it should be safe throughout the war. Even with this added protection, it was stolen by the Nazis in early 1941, along with the collections of other Jewish families. After the war, the other pieces of his collection were returned to him, but Shepherdess Bringing in Sheep was not one of them. In 1953, Raoul Meyer learned that the Swiss art dealer Christopher Bernoulli had the painting. He then sued Bernoulli for the painting, but the Swiss court, where the trial was heard, deemed Bernoulli the good faith owner of Shepherdess Bringing in Sheep. Raoul Meyer then gave up on trying to regain his lost property, and the Meyers did not see it again for nearly half a century. While on display at the David Finlay Galleries in New York in 1956, the painting was purchased by Aaron and Clara Weitzenhofer. It then became a part of Clara's vast collection of French Impressionist art. It remained with her until her death in 2000, where it was then donated, along with the rest of her collection, to the Fred Jones Jr. Art Museum at the University of Oklahoma. While a part of this collection, it was discovered by Leone Meyer in 2012. On May 9, 2013, Leone Meyer brought a complaint against the University of Oklahoma in response to their acceptance and ownership of the painting, Shepherdess Bringing in Sheep, which she believed rightfully belonged to her family. Leone Meyer's main claim was that the museum did not do its due diligence in its provenance research of the Weitzenhofer donation. Information about the painting's provenance was published in 2009, so if the museum had done adequate research, it could have discovered this information sooner. But at the very least, it should have been returned in 2009 when this information was published. Another claim was that since the museum belonged to the American Alliance of Museums, it must follow all guidelines set forth by the Alliance, specifically the ones in response to Nazi looted art. In 1998, Congress passed a law promoting the return of all Nazi looted art to its good faith owners. All of these claims point to this piece of art being returned to Leone Meyer. The museum argued that it had done everything that it was required to do to prove that the painting had gotten to them entirely through legal means, It claimed that the American Alliance of Museums guidelines for provenance research are voluntary for members and that each institution can set its own standards. It also claimed that the Swiss court in 1953 had named Bernoulli the good faith owner of the painting, and since they received it from the Weizenhoffers, who bought it from Bernoulli, then they had obtained the good faith ownership of the painting. These claims pointed towards the University of Oklahoma maintaining ownership of this painting. The case was eventually settled out of court with a mutually agreeable idea for who owned the painting. In 2017, the painting was moved to Musée d'Orsay in Paris, where it will hang until 2021. After this, it will move between the Fred Jones Jr. Museum and another museum in France every 3 years. Leone Meyer is also required to donate this piece to a French museum within her lifetime or upon her death, so that it may continue to move between the museums for the foreseeable future. Neither party can sell the film, television, or any commercial rights to this story without the consent of the other party. This settlement brought an end to the battle over ownership and created peace between the two parties. This settlement appears to be both mutually agreeable and equitable. The painting was to be displayed in a museum agreed upon by both parties. They both also had to agree on what museum Leone Meyer would donate the piece to. They also alternate who has the painting every 3 years, which allows them to both display the painting. Each party is also not allowed to sell the rights to the story without the other's agreement. Finally, all pending litigation was to be dismissed so that this settlement would be the end to the fight over ownership of the painting. This settlement, being both mutually agreeable and equitable, allowed it to be a solution to this one example of Nazi-looted art and its good faith. While the University of Oklahoma may not have done their best to determine the true history of shepherdess bringing in sheep, this dispute was solved through the settlement that was agreed upon. While I still believe that the University of Oklahoma failed to do their job, I believe that this solution may be more beneficial to society. It can not only bring an end to this one instance of Nazi-looted art, but may also become an example of how we can create new and creative solutions to this problem. Art should be protected, and this responsibility should not fall solely on the owners. We must all work together to do this. Those in the art field can help by doing research into the troubled histories of many pieces of art. People who are not in this field can help by spreading the word of claims like this. If a claim against a museum is given enough publicity, then it may grow so big that it cannot be ignored by the proper authorities. The groups that are in power in the art world should do what they can to create simple and just solutions to the problem of Nazi-looted art. If we can do this, then we can help solve future occurrences like the Meyer case when they happen. That is why this court case is so important. It shows that there is more than one solution to the problem that is created by Nazi-looted art. The mutually agreeable settlement that included shared custody can be used as an example for future cases like this. The painting is owned by the pre-looting owner, but is always on display in a museum, whether in France or in Oklahoma. This allows Leone Meyer to maintain ownership while also allowing the museums to showcase this work of art to the public. The solution provides the best of both worlds in the muddled problem of Nazi-looted art. The idea of a shared custody of a piece of art is something that I had never heard of. I knew that pieces of Nazi-looted art had been returned to their pre-war owners from museums, but not of something like this. I believe that this solution can and should be used more often because it allows for more people to experience the art that the world has to offer, while also allowing the original owner to retain possession. A solution like this could be applied to most Nazi-looted art and would cause less hassle by settling outside of court cases.